Welcome once again to the No Experience Podcast, where two dudes use unscholarly resources to talk about anything and everything. I'm Ammar Abdullah, and I'm joined as always by Jared Hines, and today we're going to furnish you fine internet people with some of the strangest, weirdest, most unusual Wikipedia articles we could find. So Jared, right off the bat, something we were talking about on the way to podcast recording. This is not overall related to the topic of today's episode, but it's more of a public service announcement, more just me reaching out with a bit of unsolicited advice. If you are a person who has a dog
and a truck,
I implore you, please, if you could, when you drive down the freeway, let your dog in the fucking cab with you. Don't force him to ride in the fucking bed of the truck. That poor animal is probably fucking terrified.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I hated it. I've seen it 2 different times on the freeway to go pick up my co-host here. And it just boggles my mind that somebody could not consider the fact that being in the back of a truck going 65, 70, 80 sometimes miles per hour might be fucking scary. So please, don't do that.
Yeah, and look, we live in buttfuck Idaho, okay? We see a lot of honky-tonk. There's no way, we're gonna have any effect on people driving with dogs in the back of their trucks, but at the very least, the freeway. Why? The freeway?
The freeway? Why? Yeah, no, it's you're right, though. People, you can let your dog ride in the bed of your truck if you're going through town doing, 25 to 40, that's fine. But 65 to 80, that shit's probably terrifying for a dog. They got highly tuned senses. It's probably scary as shit for them back there.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a little PSA, a little bit of unsolicited advice from 2 dudes who are not qualified to tell you much about anything. But, that one feels to me like a logical piece of advice. That's free from me. Enjoy.
That was a long rant about dogs in the back of trucks, but what we're really here to do is introduce you to the wonderful, wonderful world of Wikipedia.
Yes, Wikipedia, a fascinating website full of unscholarly articles. Unsourced information from the heart of the internet, just Joe Schmo and Johnny G-String out there filling in articles with whatever they fucking want. So we decided that we were going to go through some fascinating Wikipedia articles and just share some of the wondrous things we came up with. I'm going to turn it over to Jared here first to go ahead and just regale us with the most fascinating article that he could find.
Oh, grand. Yeah. So this one is a topic on a real-world event that I find fascinating. It's one of my favorite Wikipedia articles of all time, and it is on the Great Emu War.
Now, if you're not familiar with what an emu is, Jared, please, what the fuck is an emu?
It's a big fucking bird, Ammar.
Yeah, like a big-ass bird, basically.
Big flightless bird, and it'll fuck you up, too.
Oh, they'll kick your ass. They're, up there next to, cassowaries and shit as birds that will just beat the shit out of you.
They're incredibly common to Australia. Now...
Yeah, Australia, a tattered asshole full of wretched horrors.
Yes, exactly. Now, the thing is, the Emu War took place in Australia in 1932. Basically, emus were coming around and they were fucking up crops. They were going into farmland and just screwing up these farmers' land, right? So they decided to enlist the help of the government. So the government decided to go in and bring in Lewis guns. First World War light machine guns to cull the emus.
You might consider that, overkill, right?
Yeah, you might, and you would. Were it not for the fact that when they tried, they got a handful of emus. They couldn't kill these bastards.
Jesus.
They kept coming. They would go around in packs, right? And there would be one emu that would keep watch. And whenever they saw these motherfuckers coming, they would be like, ah! And they would get out. They would get out of town.
That's fucking incredible.
I know. So the first Emu War We lost. Australia fucking lost against the emus.
God, leave it to the Australians to lose to flightless birds, man.
Yeah, and then came the second attempt, or as I like to call it, the Second Emu War. They came in again, and they went even harder. They still had Lewis guns, and they were even strapping them to the back of trucks to chase them down. But guess what? The emus could outrun the trucks, and the ground was so rough that the gunners couldn't shoot anything.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God.
But eventually they kept going and they started to get better numbers with the emu, and they eventually won, which is dumb. But
the fact that it takes them that long to win
exactly
really does go to show you humans ain't shit.
It's one of the most fascinating pieces of history I know of, and I'm glad that I could impart this upon you so that you can spread this information upon the world.
Yes, please tell your friends, tell your family about the Emu War,
and watch out,
because they'll get you. They will.
They will.
Yeah, they're not friendly. They're mean little horrid creatures, much like most of the animals in the Australian outback.
True.
I'm not totally convinced that place is not just a dumping ground for all of the angriest, shittiest creatures on the earth.
Side tangent. Not recently, but I once watched a video of this dude, Australia. He just runs up because his dog ran out to like fight this kangaroo, and his dog's just out there. So he runs out to save his dog, and he just runs up. He squares up with the kangaroo. They both put their fists up, and he just clocks the kangaroo in the jaw. And the kangaroo just looks dumbfounded, and then it just jumps off.
It was probably wondering, like, what person would be so suicidal as to come punch a red kangaroo in the face. Those things are scary, man.
They are.
They'll kick you in the stomach and break your ribs. They'll disembowel you with their foot. I guess there's a third piece of unsolicited advice right next to put your dog in the cab. Don't pick fights with emus. Don't pick fights with kangaroos either, because they'll fuck you up.
Just don't pick fights with Australia.
Yeah, no, dude, it's a
don't go to Australia.
It's a terrifying place founded by spiders. I'm convinced.
I know. Yeah. Fucking coconut spiders. Huh.
Oh yeah. All right. So that's pretty good. The Emu War, pretty fascinating, but I think I can top it. I think I have something that's almost, if not more interesting, at least as interesting.
Okay.
Let me tell you guys about Fuck for Forest. If you are not familiar with Fuck for Forest, it is a non-profit environmental organization founded in 2004 in Norway. Basically, it receives its funding through a website that posts pornography. You know, it's got a membership fee, it posts, high-quality explicit videos and photographs, and those funds are donated to the cause of rescuing world rainforests. Hence the name, Fuck for Forests. It is, as of yet, the world's first eco-porn organization. Their term, not mine.
Laying seed to save the seed.
Exactly right. It's fascinating, and it's actually bigger than you might think. They are a surprisingly pretty substantial fucking thing. They got a $20 per month subscription fee, and, 80% of that money goes straight to saving the rainforests. It raised upwards of $100,000 for rainforest protection and preservation through the sale of these paid memberships. This is a fascinating organization, but nothing is much better about them than this particular story. Okay? I want you to really sit down. Buckle up, kids, because I'm about to take you into the heart of darkness. So in 2004, at a Court Festival concert, featuring some Norwegian singers and a band. It was basically a music festival. The founders of Fuck for Forest got on stage and had sex with each other.
What?
Yeah, it was basically they got up on stage, started boning, and pulled up a banner that was like, informing everyone, an audience of well over 5,000 people, that they were having sex to save the rainforest. That shit is interesting. What do you think, Jared?
I think that's more metal than metal is.
Oh, yeah. Like, you could have, weird Norwegian death metal bands out there playing, but if you're not fucking on stage to save the rainforest, I don't think you're truly metal. You can't really call yourself a metal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the one instance where I would say the metal is still more metal would be that one band where the lead singer blew his brains out on stage.
That's not metal. That's just horrible. That's just awful. But I guess, depending on what your definition of metal is, my new definition of metal is public sex to save the rainforest.
Yeah. There's nothing more hardcore than recording hardcore live.
You're such a piece of shit. So yeah, that's Fuck for Forest, a fascinating Norwegian nonprofit group that uses porn to save the trees. Go subscribe if they're still out there. I actually have no clue if they're still open. I'm willing to wager probably not after pulling a stunt like that.
Okay, but I really hope they are.
Yeah, if they are, go subscribe. $20 for a paid membership for some high quality porn, and you get to save the rainforest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this is not promotional material. They've not paid us to say that.
We're not being sponsored.
We're not sponsored by Fuck for Forest. All right, Jared, lay it on me. What do you got?
Okay, my next one is not actually all that weird, but it is very interesting. It's a phrase for events that have happened in history. It's called Damnatio Memoriae. And basically, it is the act of scrubbing all information about somebody from history, sometimes completely rewriting history. There are periods where this has been documented of happening. And I just think it's hilarious that people have been so petty since 13th or 14th century BC.
It goes back that far?
Yes.
Jesus. I mean, the only example I could even think of something like that was like, I think Stalin did it to Trotsky back during like the communist revolution, like during the Second World War, where I guess Trotsky was like an enemy of the state or something, so they started like scrubbing him from pictures and history books and shit like that. But I've never heard that apparently this goes back that far.
Oh yeah, the Romans, the Egyptians even.
Wow.
Motherfuckers so petty, they don't even decide to execute somebody, they just erase all their work.
Can you imagine being a Roman and, you walk up, you've committed some kind of crime, you walk up to the guard or the Senate or whatever they had going on, right? And you're talking to them and they're like, okay, we're not going to kill you. You're not going to hang for what you've done. Instead, it's going to be like you never existed in the first place. That's kind of horrifying if you think about it.
I don't know. I feel like I'd walk up, I'd hear that and just be like, okay, I'm going to go back to my orgy. Like, this is fucking Rome. Why should I give a shit?
You're a different, stronger man than I by far, Jared, because I would hear that and I would piss myself.
Look, people already don't know about me.
Yeah, like, what are they going to do? Make them know less than nothing?
Yeah.
That's fair. Maybe Romans had more of a attachment to their legacy or something. Who knows, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. So,
that is Rome.
So next time that you have a issue with your neighbor, maybe he's mowing his lawn at 6 a.m. or something, try that on for size. Scrub him from the history books.
Yeah. Fuck you, Bill. You don't exist anymore.
Yeah, Bill, you're not real anymore. For all intents and purposes, you might as well have never have been here.
Bill just goes to the DMV and his social security card doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, he just goes to get his fucking car registered, and it's just like, I'm sorry, I don't see a bill anywhere in here. God, that's horrifying. All right, so that's pretty good. That's a pretty fascinating little historical tidbit, but I got another historical tidbit for you. This is about George P. Burdell. If you are not familiar with George P. Burdell, let me tell you, he was a fictitious student that was officially enrolled at Georgia Tech University in 1927. Now, how did that work? Basically, he was a prank. There was a student at Georgia Tech in 1927 named William Edgar Smith. He was coming up with the idea to prank the university when he received 2 enrollment forms. Accidentally. They accidentally sent him 2 Georgia Tech enrollment forms. So in his genius, in his brilliance, he was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fill both of these out. One of them under my name, one of them under the name of a fictional character I've made up that combines the names of both a teacher I had and my best friend's mother's maiden name. and I'm going to make a fake student who doesn't actually exist. You know? So it it gets weirder. You wouldn't think, right? Like, you think, like, enrolling a fake student, that's the whole ball game, you would think. It's not. Because for that entire year, Smith had ensured that this fictional student was signed up for all of the same classes as him, and with the help of his friends, would do all of the schoolwork twice. Changing it so that the professors would never catch him. When he had a test, he took it twice and turned it in under both names. Yeah. The school awarded Burdell a bachelor's degree in 1930. And then a few years later, he got a master's degree. He's an official alumnus at the college. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a fictional character that a guy made up as a prank to basically fuck with his university, down to the point where he has a master's degree, someone who does not exist.
That is fucking hilarious.
Isn't that insane?
I love some of the shit that college kids do.
Oh, yeah.
They do some whack-ass shit that is hilarious, but also horrifying. Like, it was this one university, one of the super prestigious ones, and there was just a parade of college students outside the school with signs saying no means yes and yes means anal. And that's one of the most horrifying things I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's horrible. First of all, we do not condone that behavior.
Not at all. And something else that I saw is kids having like multi-day weeks where they study for like 12 hours straight. There's like videos and live streams of like this one kid that I saw that it's just like a 12-hour live stream of him studying, and then he'll take like 15-minute breaks, and then he'll go back to studying, and then the 15-minute break for 12 hours.
Can you imagine? Like, I have never had a 12-hour work day, let alone like, you know, like 12 hours worth of studying. Like, that has to be, God, it has to turn your brain to mush.
I know. Like, I don't understand why you would do that. Well, no, I understand why people do that to themselves. They want to be like doctors and shit, but fuck.
Well, yeah, if we have to get another bit of unsolicited advice, it's don't go to college, kids.
Yeah. College is overrated.
Yeah, college is overrated. Don't do it. It's bad for your health. Yeah. But that does go some way to explaining why this dude would make up a fictional student just to cure himself of his fucking boredom.
True.
And it turns out the tale of George P. Burdell does not end there. Apparently, he's all over the place. For years, he was allegedly a member of the board of directors for Mad Magazine. He allegedly fought in over 12 B-18 bomber missions during World War II. And he allegedly was a doctor. So George P. Burdell is out there doing crazy shit to this day. As recently as 2019, his name was on the flight crew of a satellite mission. So they shot a satellite up into space and put his name on the satellite as one of the people who helped make it happen.
God, what a legend.
Right? What a legend for a person that never actually existed.
What a hero.
Yeah, it's like those crazy stories you hear about Rasputin and shit, where it's like, there's no way this actually happened. But Rasputin was actually a real person, right?
Mm-hmm.
George P. Burdell completely skipped over the being an actual person part and just went straight to the making up crazy stories about a guy who didn't exist. So that's fun. That's a fun Wikipedia article. Take a deep dive, read about George P. Burdell sometime.
Modern folklore. Anyways, the next article, this is my last article, and I find it incredibly fascinating. It is simply labeled, "If You Were a Dinosaur, My Love."
I'm sorry, can you say that name one more time for me?
If You Were a Dinosaur, My Love.
If You Were a Dinosaur, My Love. Please, by all means, regale me.
It was a short story written by Rachel Swirsky. And from what I understand, it seemed to be pretty popular. And caught a lot of attention, and I think it got nominated for some like pretty large award. But it literally starts out, she's talking about how if her husband were a dinosaur, and how he would be like kind of frail and small, he would only be as tall as his human self. He would be very kind and shit. And then how eventually he would go public and people would be so moved that they would find the technology to bring back dinosaurs so he could have a lover because she's human and cannot be his lover, and yet she's one of the bridesmaids at his wedding, and she's jealous and upset, and then she walks down the aisle to a plant and she becomes a plant person. So now, instead of science, people believe in magic. And then it ends with the realization that this whole story is a very strange and abstract way of telling how her husband was beat to death during a bar fight because he was different. And she's grieving.
Jared, I'm gonna be honest, man. You just fucking floored me.
Yeah.
That was the strangest, most heartfelt thing I've ever heard.
Uh-huh.
I imagine that to some degree there's probably a bit of context I'm missing here. That I would have to see the movie to understand what the fuck you just said to me.
Short story.
Oh, it's a short story. It's not a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd have to read it in order to understand what you just said to me. That is... Wow.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Where do I go from there? What the fuck am I supposed to say in response to what did you say the name of the story was?
Yeah, if you were a dinosaur, my love.
If you were a dinosaur, my love. I just... Where do I go from there?
There's not a lot of places to go, and quite frankly, I could have thought better about bringing this story to the table. This Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that is a showstopper for sure. My last article feels small potatoes compared to what you've just laid on us.
I know, dude. I bring the big guns.
You do. Your guns are much bigger than mine by far.
Me guns big. Me guns bring table.
Your gun's big. You got big table gun.
Yeah.
Well. If you got time, if you find yourself, bored with nothing to do and you want to read what is apparently an incredibly heartfelt short story with a nonsense plot, go ahead and go read If You Were a Dinosaur, My Love, a story of a woman's husband getting beat to death in a bar fight because he was different. Fascinating shit. Bizarre what you just told me.
Yes.
I don't know how to deal with the feelings that makes me feel. So we're going to move on to Ayds. And that's Ayds spelled Ayds. If you're not familiar with Ayds, well, it's basically it's diet food. It's an appetite suppressant that was it came out first in around 1937, but it was registered, trademarked that is, in 1946. Basically, it was a product that you would eat that would keep you from wanting to eat. It was an appetite suppressant. It's the same type of thing that people would eat as diet food. I have nothing else to say about this other than if you have never seen ads for Ayds appetite suppressant, go on YouTube and look them up because, man, that's some funny shit right there. Hearing somebody advertise to you like, oh, if you want your appetite to be suppressed, if you want to lose up to 10 pounds in just a few weeks, try peanut butter Ayds,
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Try out peanut butter Ayds.
I was really curious for a second because I was wondering just how bad the person that decided to name this, just like how fucking stupid they are. So I had to look up when we found out about Ayds just to make sure. When did these come out?
These came out in 1936 originally, but they were trademarked in 1946, but first used in 1937.
Okay. That's good because as far as I can tell, Ayds, we didn't really know about Ayds until about the 80s.
Yeah. But that also means that ads for peanut butter Ayds were being dropped at the height of the AIDS crisis. So is that really better?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like to a certain degree, yeah, you're right. You created this before AIDS was an epidemic, but at a certain point, you gotta just cut your losses and change your product's name. You can't keep calling it peanut butter Ayds,
Yeah.
You're gonna damage your brand reputation with that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know where else to go with Ayds as a concept for a diet food other than, you know.
There are flavors?
Oh, there's flavors, a variety of flavors. You got original Ayds, chocolate mint Ayds, butterscotch Ayds, caramel Ayds, and peanut butter Ayds. So Ayds comes in many flavors. It comes in many stripes. You can have your Ayds and eat it too, so to speak.
That whole flavor list just sounded like a fucked up way of describing like different shades.
Oh, just different races
just of people that just have AIDS.
Oh, that's horrifying. You know, like some southern trucker, you know, in a rest stop is talking to like the gas station attendant, and he's like, "Yeah, I heard about, you know, that boy had chocolate Ayds," and it's like, oh wow, yeah, I think that's about as good of a place to stop as any.
Fuck.
Well,
she called for an order of chocolate and got an accidental side of Ayds.
Chocolate Ayds, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as always, thank you for listening to the No Experience podcast. I'm Ammar Abdullah. I was joined by my co-host Jared Hines, and you know, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're live on SoundCloud. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. Wherever good podcasting material is sold, you can listen to us there.
Except for Spotify.
We're not.
Or iTunes or Apple Music. Don't go to those.
Yeah, don't go to any of the places where you would actually listen to a decent podcast that was worth money. Instead, go on YouTube or SoundCloud and listen to our shitty podcast.
There you go.